8-year-old Sophie's hands trembled as she gripped the thick wooden stick. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. Just seconds ago she had been calling out cheerfully, selling her mother's freshly baked pastries in the sunny park in downtown Boston. Now she crouched behind the metal slide, watching two large men drag a screaming boy toward a black car. "Mom, help me. Please help me," the boy cried, his voice breaking with terror as he struggled against their iron grip. "Hello family, welcome back. Please take a moment to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up, it truly means a lot to us. Don't forget to share it with your friends and loved ones and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. So sit back and relax as we dive into the story." Sophie knew she should run. She knew she should find an adult. But something in the boy's desperate cries made her feet move before her brain could stop them. She clutched the stick tighter, her small body shaking with fear and determination. Without thinking twice, Sophie rushed forward and swung the stick as hard as she could into one man's arm. The crack echoed across the playground. The man yelped in pain and released the boy, clutching his injured arm. "You little brat," the second man snarled, his face twisting with rage. "You want to get hurt too?" Sophie's courage wavered as the angry man towered over her. His eyes were cold and mean and she suddenly felt very small. The second man lunged toward her, his large hands reaching for her throat. Fear paralyzed her for a split second. Then someone shouted from across the playground. The distraction was exactly what Sophie needed. Remembering what she had seen the boy do moments before, she bit down hard on the first man's wrist with all her strength. He screamed and jerked away. "Run!" Sophie yelled to the boy. The boy grabbed Sophie's arm, and together they sprinted toward the crowded part of the park where families were having picnics and children were playing. Their feet pounded against the pavement as they ran faster than either had ever run before. Sophie's lungs burned, but she didn't dare slow down until they reached a group of parents and children. They finally stopped, gasping for air, their hearts racing. "Thank you," the boy panted. "You saved me. This little girl saved my life." Sophie smiled, but then her face fell as she remembered something important. Her basket of pastries. She had left it behind near the slide when she grabbed the stick. Her mother would be so upset. They needed that money desperately. "Why are you sad?" the boy asked, noticing her worried expression. "Did you get hurt?" Sophie shook her head quickly. "I just left all our pastries by the slide. There was still a lot left to sell. But it's okay. What matters is that you're safe." The boy reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of bills. "It's not payment. It's for your pastries. If I see you selling them again, I'll buy some." "Sorry I had to ask for help," the boy continued. "I'm only 10 years old. I couldn't handle those men alone." "It's fine," Sophie chirped. "Even grown-ups need help sometimes. I'm only 8, so I guess that makes you my big brother." A breathless woman in a neat uniform rushed toward them, clearly the boy's nanny. The boy's face lit up with relief. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small brown teddy bear. "This one's my favorite, but I want you to have it because you're kind and brave." Sophie's smile grew brighter as she hugged the teddy bear close. "You're welcome, big brother. I hope I see you again someday." She waved as he walked away. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't even asked his name. 10 years passed like water flowing under a bridge. Sophie was now 18 years old, lying in bed one ordinary morning when her mother's voice pierced through her dreams. "Sophie, wake up," her mother called urgently. Sophie ran to the living room and noticed she had overslept terribly. "Don't you have classes?" her mother scolded. "Your graduation is coming soon and then college." "Mom, there isn't much happening at school right now," Sophie explained. "We're just practicing for graduation. And I want to find a job first so I can help pay for college." Her mother's face fell, and Sophie noticed immediately. "What's wrong, Mom?" "I'm sorry, honey," her mother said sadly. "Selling baked goods isn't bringing in enough money. I want to work more but my health won't let me. I can't afford to send you to college." Before Sophie could respond, a familiar voice called from outside. "Margaret, Margaret." It was her mother's best friend, Mrs. Peterson, who worked for a wealthy family in New York City. Sophie's mother hurried to let her in. Mrs. Peterson's face was bright with excitement. "There's an opening with my employers. You'd mostly be at their house taking care of their son. His parents are very busy. The pay is excellent. I'd take it myself, but my doctor says I need to rest this year." "I can take it," Sophie said quickly. "I'll pause school for a year and work. Then I can save enough for college." "No, Sophie," her mother objected. "Taking a year off is a waste of time." But Sophie kept insisting gently. The idea weighed heavily on both of them. Neither wanted to be apart, but they had to be practical. Sophie's father had died years ago, right after her 10th grade graduation. Her mother had hidden the news until Sophie came home that day. Since then, money had been tight, and her mother's health had slowly declined. After a long discussion filled with tears, her mother finally agreed. The following week, Sophie packed her small bag and set out for the address in New York City. The city felt enormous. She got lost several times before finally finding the massive iron gate. A middle-aged man in a driver's uniform stepped out. "Good morning," Sophie said nervously. "I'm Sophie, the helper Mrs. Peterson recommended." So Margaret was serious, the older man chuckled. "All right, come in. You'll meet Mr. Ryan before his parents leave." He swung open the gate. Inside, Sophie's jaw dropped. The brick pathway stretched like a red carpet. Lush plants, manicured flowers, and a sparkling fountain made everything gleam like a magazine spread. She let herself daydream about buying her mother a place like this one day. Ahem. Someone cleared his throat. Sophie turned and froze. Standing before her was a young man with an athletic build, sharp features, and when her gaze dipped lower, she noticed his toned abs showing beneath his partially open shirt. "Don't waste my time," he said coldly. "My parents are here for photos and family bonding. Why are you here?" "I'm not here for the photos," Sophie blurted. "I mean, Mrs. Peterson referred me. I'm the new household helper. 1-year contract, but if your attitude stays this bad, 1 month is fine with me too." She lifted her chin defiantly. His eyebrow arched. "I'm the one hiring, but it sounds like I'm the applicant and you're the boss." Inside the mansion, they found Ryan's parents on the patio, typing on their laptops. Ryan's mother looked up. "Ryan's son, is that your girlfriend?" "No way," Ryan said quickly. "She's the new housekeeper." His mother smiled. "If your work isn't satisfactory within 1 week, Ryan will decide whether you stay." Sophie nodded confidently. Challenge accepted. She had no idea this grumpy boy would soon become the most important person in her world. Days passed and Sophie worked harder than ever before. She cleaned every room, prepared meals carefully, and tried her best to please Ryan. But nothing seemed good enough for him. "Are you going to sweep the same spot all day?" Ryan snapped one afternoon while gaming in his room. "How old are you, sir?" Sophie asked, putting a hand on her hip. "Did you take any classes on basic manners?" "I'm 21, fresh out of college," he shot back. "Not that it's your business." Sophie burst out laughing. "You sound like a spoiled child. Stop being so crabby all the time." "You're stubborn," Ryan grumbled. "Mrs. Peterson should have been here, not you." He stormed out. Sophie took a deep breath. Mrs. Peterson had warned her that Ryan was difficult. He rarely left the mansion even after finishing college and had almost no friends. Mrs. Peterson hoped Sophie might help him open up. One afternoon, Sophie made peanut butter sandwiches for lunch. She loved peanut butter, but her mother rarely bought it because it was expensive. When Ryan saw the sandwich, his face turned pale, then red with fury. He grabbed the plate and hurled it into the trash. "I told you I can't eat peanuts," he shouted. "Do you want me to end up in the hospital?" Sophie's hands trembled. "I bought new ingredients to try different things. I didn't know you were allergic." "I'm so sorry." "You're the housekeeper," Ryan snapped coldly. "Stop meddling in my life. Eat it yourself." He left. Sophie knelt to clean up the mess, tears slipping down her cheeks. That evening, unable to sleep, Sophie stepped onto the upstairs patio for fresh air. She found Ryan already there, alone with a beer, staring into darkness. "People think being rich is easy," Ryan muttered to the empty air. "But all I want is my parents' attention." Sophie's heart broke hearing his loneliness. "I thought the same thing," Sophie said softly, stepping forward. "Being rich looks perfect from outside. My dream is to have enough money to finish school and take care of my mom." Ryan jumped, startled. He turned to face her, and their eyes met. "Why did you take this job?" he asked quietly. Sophie told him about her father's death, about selling pastries as a child, about her mother's declining health. Ryan listened, and for the first time his cold mask slipped away. Something flashed in his eyes when she mentioned selling baked goods, an old memory he couldn't quite grasp. As the night grew late, Sophie felt dizzy from the beer. Ryan noticed her swaying and carefully lifted her, carrying her to the staff quarters. He stumbled and fell forward, catching himself inches from her face. For a moment he froze, noticing how peaceful she looked. "I miss you, Dad," Sophie mumbled in her sleep. "I miss my parents too," Ryan whispered before quietly leaving. The next morning, Sophie overslept and rushed to the kitchen. But Ryan was already there making breakfast. As they both grabbed the mixing bowl, it slipped and crashed to the floor. Eggs splattered everywhere. "I'm so sorry," Sophie said, tears filling her eyes. "See? Because you meddle, you wreck everything," Ryan said tiredly, walking out. Days passed with tension between them. But slowly something changed. Ryan started leaving snacks for her. They played video games together, their hands accidentally touching. Sophie felt her heart race whenever he was near, but she forced the feelings down. This wasn't allowed. Then one afternoon, while watering the garden, Sophie suddenly felt the world spin violently. Her legs gave out and she collapsed onto the grass. Everything went black. Ryan saw her fall and his heart stopped. "Mr. Thomas." "The car," Ryan shouted, running towards Sophie. He lifted her limp body into his arms, his heart pounding with terror. At the hospital, doctors rushed Sophie into emergency care. Ryan paced the hallway for hours, unable to eat or sit still. Finally, a doctor approached. "Are you Sophie Martinez's family?" the doctor asked. "I'm her employer," Ryan said quickly. "How is she?" The doctor's face was serious. "The patient has leukemia, a cancer of the blood. With treatment, she may live for several years, but we cannot guarantee how long." Ryan felt the floor tilt beneath his feet. He stumbled to Sophie's room and sat beside her bed. She lay pale and still, tubes connected to her arms. Tears streamed down his face as he took her hand. "Life doesn't end like this, Sophie," he whispered. "Fight. Your mom is waiting for you. You can't die. Not yet. Not when I haven't married you." He kissed her knuckles and held her hand through the night. In the early morning hours, Sophie's fingers twitched. "Water?" she rasped. Relief flooded through Ryan. He called the doctor immediately. When Sophie was stable enough to talk, Ryan held her hand gently. "You need to rest. But why didn't you take care of yourself?" "Do I have something serious?" Sophie asked, frowning. "I feel okay." Ryan kept his voice steady. "Sophie, you have leukemia. It's treatable. We'll fight it." Her smile faltered. "Is it bad? Can I go home? If I'm going to get better, or if I'm not, I want to be beside my mom." Ryan nodded. "I'll take you. We'll go." For reasons he didn't understand, he leaned in and hugged her. She stiffened, surprised, then hugged him back and sobbed. "I don't want to die," she cried. "I'll spend everything I have," Ryan whispered. "All of it for you." They left the hospital and drove to Sophie's hometown in upstate New York. "Call me Ryan, not sir," he said, eyes on the road. "Okay, Ryan," Sophie sing-songed, grinning. "You're the bravest, funniest, best woman I've ever met," he said at a red light. They pulled into the small yard. Sophie spotted her mother sweeping. "Mom," she shouted, breaking into a run. Her mother dropped the broom and rushed to her. Ryan stood back, watching them embrace. "Is that your boyfriend?" her mother asked, beaming at Ryan. Sophie hadn't planned to tell her mom about the diagnosis, but Ryan, too honest for his own good, spoke up. He explained everything, the pills he'd noticed, the collapse, the doctor's words. Sophie admitted that in junior high, she'd started feeling off, taking cheap medicines without telling her mom. That night, while Sophie rested, Ryan sat with her mother at the kitchen table. To his shock, she started to cry. "I let her take that job to prepare her in case I'm the one who goes," her mother said. "From the time she was little, she's only ever thought of us. I'm tired, but it turns out she needs me longer. I love my child so much." Listening, Ryan realized what his heart had already decided. He loved Sophie. He and Sophie stayed with her mother for a few days. Ryan slept on the couch in the tiny house. As he looked around at the humble shelves and family knickknacks, something on the TV stand caught his eye. A teddy bear he recognized. He picked it up, stunned. "Ryan," Sophie's voice came from behind him. He turned, still holding the bear. "Why do you have this?" "I missed it," she said, taking the teddy and hugging it close. "This has always been my favorite. Someone gave it to me when I was little. I never even learned his name. He was cute and looked rich. I saved him when two men tried to drag him away at the playground. I felt like I had powers that day. I only called him Big Brother." Ryan's eyes widened. "You're the girl. You're the 8-year-old pastry seller. You saved me." They stared at each other. Sophie's mouth fell open as she processed it. "Small world," she said, laughing through tears. "Who would have thought you'd be my boss?" "I'd rather ask for you, Sophie," Ryan said, his heart racing. Sophie froze, wanting to ask him to repeat it, though she'd heard him perfectly. The next morning, Sophie's mother nudged her awake. "Aren't you going to wake your boss, dear?" Sophie padded over to where Ryan slept on the couch. "Ryan, hey, wake up," she said softly, studying his peaceful face. Full already, Sophie? He teased without opening his eyes. She smacked his arm playfully. Jerk. Mom says breakfast is ready. At the table, her mother caught Sophie's flustered smile. I know that look, she teased. Then she turned serious. I feel like he's what you need because we never know how long we have. I don't want to leave you alone. There's a right time for everything, Mom, Sophie said softly. The three of them spent the day wandering nearby fields. For the first time, Sophie saw Ryan truly relax. It's nice living simply, she said, sitting on the grass. You only worry about putting food on the table. Ryan settled beside her. I remember something. That day in the park, why wasn't Mrs. Peterson with me? That was a new hire. We thought she was kind, but my mom discovered she was working with people who wanted to kidnap me for ransom. If you hadn't shown up, who knows what would have happened? Sophie's face clouded. I just realized I can save others, but I couldn't save my dad. I never thought that way until I met you, Ryan said quietly. You've had a huge impact on me. I was selfish, obsessed with the attention I wanted without thinking about my parents' sacrifices. Don't joke about leaving, he added. I'd miss you. A sudden scream shattered the calm. Mrs. Peterson was calling from down the lane, her voice shaking. Ryan and Sophie ran toward the house. Sophie's knees buckled when she saw her mother collapsed on the floor. Mom, she screamed. Ryan called an ambulance immediately. They rushed her to the hospital, but the doctors pronounced her dead on arrival. Sophie hadn't known about her mother's heart condition or that she'd stopped taking her medication months ago. She stared, tears streaming, stunned that her mother was gone. Eat something, Ryan urged after days of mourning, his own eyes heavy from sleepless nights by her side. Mom, was all Sophie could say before sobs racked her. I thought I'd go first. I thought I'd finish school and take care of her. Why did she leave me? Ryan held her, helpless in the face of grief he'd never truly known. No words can fix this, he said into her hair. But at the end of the world you'll still have me. I won't die. I won't leave you. If I could carry all your pain I would. After the funeral they sorted through the small house. Sophie wasn't ready to pack away her mother's things. Every item held a memory. Sophie, look, Ryan said softly. She came over. In his hands was a glass jar stuffed with cash. On the label, in her mother's neat handwriting, for your expenses when I'm gone. Go to college. Sophie sank to the floor, clutching the jar, and wept until there were no tears left. A neatly bagged dress lay beside it, what her mother wanted to wear if the worst came. The weight in Sophie's chest felt unbearable. Months passed. Sophie repeated to herself that there must be a reason for everything. She returned to New York City, not as a housekeeper but as Ryan's girlfriend. His parents treated her like family and insisted on paying for her schooling. Sophie started treatment for leukemia, and even though the battle was tough, Ryan stood by her through it all. One evening, Ryan's parents invited them to dinner at the mansion. Ryan cleared his throat nervously. Mom, Dad, this is Sophie. She used to be our maid, but she's my girlfriend now. And she saved me twice. His parents blinked, confused. Ryan's mother waited for an explanation. Do you remember the kidnapping attempt at the playground when I was a kid? Ryan asked. Mrs. Peterson told you I wouldn't stop talking about the girl who saved me. I even drew her. His mother nodded slowly. That was the first time I'd seen you smile in ages. I wished I could meet that girl and thank her. Ryan squeezed Sophie's hand. Mom, Dad, Sophie is the 8-year-old girl who saved me back then. His mother nearly dropped her fork. They both stared in shock. Your cute girl? His mother asked. Sophie nodded. Yes, Mom. The girl from the playground. Where's your mother? Ryan's mother asked gently. She's gone, Sophie said softly. But I know she'd be proud. Ryan's mother rose and hugged Sophie tightly from behind her chair. Thank you for saving our son, Ryan's father said warmly. From then on, they treated Sophie like their own daughter. Years passed like gentle waves. Sophie fought her battle with leukemia with Ryan by her side through every painful morning, every treatment, every moment of fear. Ryan started working full-time, and his parents stayed in town for good. They had finally learned what mattered most. After a long, exhausting battle, Sophie was finally declared cancer-free. Thank you, but this is too expensive, Sophie told Ryan's mother one day as the older woman held up an elegant dress for her graduation. It's your final graduation, Ryan's mother said warmly. Try this on and pick whatever suits you best. Sophie couldn't stop imagining her own parents beside her on that special day, but she told herself they were watching from heaven, proud of everything she had accomplished. I'm proud of you, babe, Ryan said the night before graduation. Who's walking you on stage tomorrow? Mom or Dad? You, Sophie said, smiling through happy tears. After they died, you became my reason to keep going. You woke me up when I wanted to give up. On the big day, Sophie walked across the stage in her nurse's uniform. She had once dreamed of journalism as a child, but somewhere along the way she had chosen nursing instead. She wanted to help people the way doctors had helped her. She and Ryan both had careers now, savings, even some property. They could have moved out of the mansion, but none of them wanted to. They were making up for years they had missed together as a family. 7 years into their relationship, Sophie and Ryan welcomed a daughter named Lily. The name meant purity, hope, and new beginnings to them. Late one night, with their 1-year-old asleep in her crib, Sophie set down her book. Something's bothering me, she said softly. Ryan slid off his glasses and turned to her. What is it? We're getting older, Sophie said. Someday after Lily grows up, we'll be frail. I'm just thinking she might be alone when we're gone. Your parents are gone now. My parents are gone. Will she be okay? Ryan smoothed her hair gently. Don't dwell on death. It won't make Lily happy. A sly smile crept over his face. Know the solution? What? Sophie asked, eyebrows raised. 2 heads are better than 1, so let's add 1 more, he laughed, pulling her close and tickling her. Sophie laughed, the sound filling their bedroom with joy. Their days were filled with work, parenting, and the quiet certainty that love, long delayed for both of them, had finally made a home. Sophie often thought back to that day in the park when she was 8 years old, selling pastries with her basket. She had no idea that the frightened boy she saved would one day become her entire world. Ryan would sometimes hold the old teddy bear he had given her all those years ago and smile. He had been a lonely, scared child who thought money could buy happiness. But Sophie taught him that true wealth was found in love, sacrifice, and the courage to keep fighting even when life seemed impossible. On quiet evenings they would sit on their patio watching Lily play in the yard, and Sophie would whisper, "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. I made it. I didn't give up." Ryan would squeeze her hand and reply, "And thank you for saving that 10-year-old boy in the park. You saved me twice, Sophie. Once from those men and once from myself." Sophie had learned that even in the darkest moments, kindness could change everything. One brave act in a park had connected 2 souls across time and circumstance. She had been a poor girl selling pastries and he had been a billionaire's son. But in the end, they were just 2 people who found each other when they needed it most. Their story was proof that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they're 8-year-old girls with wooden sticks and brave hearts. And sometimes the people we save end up saving us right back. Sophie and Ryan lived their lives honoring the memory of those who were gone, cherishing every moment with their daughter, and never forgetting that love is the greatest treasure of all. As they tucked Lily into bed each night, they would tell her stories about courage, about kindness, and about a brave little girl who once saved a boy in a park. And Lily would fall asleep dreaming of the day she too could be someone's hero. We've come to the end of today's story and I hope it touched your heart. Thank you for watching and remember to subscribe for more powerful and inspiring stories. See you in the next one.